right, we live. I want to say ETM Hotep, Dual Aku, Rini Kofi Paisai, Madupe, uh, Fatmo Alafie, Fatmo Iwa Pele, uh, Igungun, Majube Ibai, Igungun Kiki, Igungun. Welcome everybody to the show. I want to apologize. I put the wrong link in a while ago to my own personal channel, and it's supposed to have been on the Mossy Warrior Clan channel. So sorry about that. That was my fault. So I'm starting a little late because I had to delete it from off my personal channel, and then set it up for this channel, and then try to reshare it. Those that's in the chat, can you share the video also to those that you may think they may be interested in this presentation? Um, Hold on one second. I'm trying to set this stuff up. All right. Got that out the way. We got 8 watching. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. Again, I want to apologize for sending the wrong link out a while ago. But we got the link together now, so we finna get it in like the monster get it in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to jump into it.
Call for the unity and the redemption of the African world. Salute them honorable Marcus. We were not ready to listen then. They might not have been ready then. There's wonder whether we are ready. Ain't no doubt about it. To listen. We ready, baby. Now. Let's go. Yeah. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Black kiss to the sky with the side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. Hold it high. Let it fly. Rebel colors forever. Bobby would never die. On my 90, the throne ready. Let's take a ride. Cash, walk, bitch, me and dope. Choose a side. This is the path for the warriors. Some travel yet still bad glory just Black power represents us. You either rolling with Africa or against us. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Black kiss to the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The red is for the blood. I got the best stock. The rest got stood. The black is for the gods, melanated and elevated, holding the main charge. The green is for the cradle. Africa, everything first, the earth's stable. This excellency, put it together as a symbol of liberation. That's how we get the letters RBG. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. Black kiss to the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes. Flag fly high, fly high, 99 time. How the draft on my design, we both ready. Hard line, ain't no game for that red flame. Triple stage for that black pain. Revolution in my veins, if we free, I won't change. Make you count on that, black Africans. Celebrate the victories and the challenges. This either the social media statuses. This lifestyle, elevation building practices. Yeah, flag fly high, flag fly high. Flag fly high. Kiss in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. Flag fly high. All these RBG, baby. RBG, baby. Fly high, my flag, fly high, my flag, fly high. Shout out to all my RBGs worldwide. Doing this thing garbage style, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. My flag fly high, my flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high, my flag fly high, my flag fly high. RBGs on the rise, all eyes gonna recognize. My flag fly high. Black power, black power. It's so real, though. It's so real.
Flag still flying high. All right. Again, I just want to say Madupe, eBay, which means peace, family. I appreciate y'all for coming and tuning in. As we rock out, the name of this presentation is called African Marriage, the most important ceremony in Africa. I'm going to say that again. African marriage, the most important ceremony in Africa. We're going to get into why I say it's the most important ceremony in Africa. All right. Everybody knows that before we get started, you know, this is our phrase, let's go to war. So we always have to get ourselves amped up because we are at war with our history. We are at war with our tradition. We are at war with our culture. All right, so let's go to war. All right, before I get started, I always have to put a disclaimer out there before I get started. Disclaimer, I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research or have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation to shut down, sell, and exchange the terms of use at my own discretion. All trademark, design, rights, copyrights, residuals, names, mottos, logos, avatars, insignias, and marks used or cited by this website or the property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available and or adapt, change, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions are encouraged. All right, this is my saying, my motto that I live by. As I learn, we all learn. I believe is that anything that we obtain, any type of information that we obtain, anything that we learn, we should be able to pass that down to our families, to our communities, to our societies, and so forth. I think this is the only way that we'll be able to grow if we continue to share with each other and we can continue to grow as a collective. So as I learn, we all learn. All right, first, before I jump into the presentation, I want to show this quick little video on African marriage. A lot of people speaking over there about African marriage, and then I'll jump dead smack into the presentation. So just bear with me and rock out with.
The tradition of marriage is a very important one. Marriage is a union of man and woman. It is your helpmate. It is your partner, hopefully for life. Now, marriage is something sacred. Marriage is something that we know has been decided upon by our ancestors. Even before we were born, our partners were chosen. So what we are doing, like today, what we're doing, we're just fulfilling what has been planned already. It's God made. It is not man's invention. God has created Adam and Eve, man and a woman, in the very beginning. And where Africa is concerned, it's an institution. It's an institution that also allows you to trace your lineage. In Ethiopia, for instance, when you're filling out a paper, they don't ask you surname or last name. They say, what is your father's name? And what is your grandfather's name? The institution of marriage allows this kind of continuity. When we live and when we get married to the family of that person also. So that makes us unique in handling work as an independent woman and in handling family affairs at home. And it is the very bond that keeps you liable to the community. If you are doing something wrong to the partner that you are staying with, the community, you are accountable to the community. Those of us in the West, this is something that has been ripped from our very vocabulary, from our very being. We have gone into this baby mother, baby father society that does not allow us to reap the benefits of marriage. We recognize the centrality and primacy of life and being able to create new life, because that was how we maintained our presence and how we were able to evolve and sustain the building of not only community but also civilization. Family is critical. Family is so important, and the sacrament of marriage is one that allows us to build again an institution, a legacy that can be carried on generation to generation. What we are trying to do, those of us from the West, we're trying to reclaim that. Because African people know that two people don't just get married, two families get married, two communities come together. Because it doesn't involve just that family who's married, it involves the relatives, the mothers, the aunties, the grandparents, and it goes all the way back. It is a merging of two families. It is an enrichment. Now we have cousins in Lumanyane, and we can come here, we can in Kabuluho, we can come here, we can visit here, we can stop by and drink water. That's all what the African culture is all about. Building relationships, and it is not different from each and every culture all over Africa. Extended family systems have always been part of a strong social system, but it has as its underpinning base justice and truth in it. When I say justice, it means you do unto others as you want others to do unto you. The male-female relationships are two bodies, but when you have a meeting of minds, minds go beyond bodies. And the only way you're able to sustain ethical relationships is if you have right and what is just in the midst. We understood that teams beat all individuals.
Y'all hear that?
Consolidate your greater diversity, mentally, around bodies, groups, communities, you're better able to achieve the things that you want to achieve than being individual. Now, all these are masterful arrangements for progressive living. And it's upon this basis that we should countenance the kind of development that it is development that we're talking about.
So I just wanted to share that video real quick. He kind of talked about African marriages and so forth, and you heard one of the guys talk about Adam and Eve. You had to understand that we've been colonized. You know, we have adopted the colonizers' way of life, perspective, religion, and some of those ethnic groups in Africa has merged their indigenous system with the oppressor uh, religion. This is a saying: a man without a wife is like a vase without a flower. This is an old African proverb. All right. Now I have to take y'all back. We're gonna go into. I'm gonna read off some of the rites of passages. You know how I stand with the rites of passages. Me with the rites of passages, I think we need to bring those back. We need to develop those and bring them back, or bring them over here where we can start to pass down the rites of passage program. And each we need this in each. I mean each hood near you. We need these rites of passages. So I'm gonna go through a couple of the rites of passage. I'm going to only go through 3 or 4 of the rites of passage because 2 of the rites of passages are actually connected with the marriage rites of passage. And for those that want more information about the rites of passage, you can go to my channel, Kofi Paisai TV, and I have the rites of passage presentation where I go through all of the rites of passages and break them down and so forth. But here, the African initiation rite, which is a fundamental to human growth and development. These rites, the birth, the adulthood, circumcision, marriage, eldership, ancestor slash death, we originally established by our African ancestors while they were living in order to link the individuals to the community, which the rites of passions are nothing but the different stages in life. The rites of passage plays a central role in Africa's socialization, demarking the different stages in an individual development, gender and otherwise, as well as a personal relationship and role to the broader community. Now, hold on, let me go back. So I'm only going to talk about the birth rites of passage, adult rites of passage, and then we'll go into the marriage because these 2 are connected to this rites of passage. And you'll get what I'm saying as we get further into the presentation. All right, birth. We're going to talk about the birth of rites of passage. The right of birth is the first major rite. Nearly all African cultures believe that the infant has come from the spirit world, and remember that has come from the spirit world with important information from the world and is bringing unique talents and gifts, indeed unique purpose, missions, message, and projects to offer to the community. And this may sound familiar to those that may practice Ifa. We believe that when we're standing before Odemare Olevron, that we pick our Ori. Our Ori is our select head, which is the Ori Anu and the Ori Edu. And the Ori is considered our central cell. So we pick our soul. So we pick our soul, we pick our talents, we pick our gifts, we pick our parents, we pick the day that we are born, we pick the day that we die. So we can't die a day after the day that we pick, but we can die earlier due to certain events that we may cause in our life to end our life at an early age. I mean, at an early stage than what we pick our life to end. We pick our trauma. We pick our soul wounds. We pick our destiny. And on the way here, we say that we will on us as the soul travel here. we begin to forget the things that we picked in front of Odemare or Olevran. So once we get here, we have to figure out how to establish what our destiny is, because everybody on earth, or the Ikole Aya, has a purpose. Everyone has a purpose that they have to fulfill. They have a destiny. So we pick our talents, our gifts, our life mission, our parents, our person, our message, our projects, and so forth, uh, in the Oran, which is the heavens. And according to Ifa, those that may practice Ifa know what I'm talking about. And like I said, we get here and we forget, but do the birth processing, the birthright process, because those that are on the continent, they have what they call divination system. So the divination system is connected to the birth over there. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But it says your purpose, your mission. So I just wanted to try to explain that a little bit here. Message, projects, the offerings to the community, thus the reason for celebration. Therefore, the rites of birth is the first of the major rites and involving initiating the infant into the world through rituals of naming ceremonies. And the infant becomes initiated as well. And they go through a naming ceremony. Some tribes at 3 days, they go through the initiation where they name the person. You have some 7 days, you have some 10 days. Some ethnic groups, tribes, and clans, the girls sometimes are initiated and named before the boys are named, because they say the girls mature faster than the males. So that's in some other cultures as well. It says, or diviner, to determine the mission. So it's telling you that they go through the ceremony and then they have the diviner. The diviner does the divination system. So he does the divination system and he gives the infant the mission. Remember, I said once we're in those that may practice Ifa like I do, um, understand that when we pick our destiny, we pick our essential selves, we pick our parents, we pick our gifts, our talents, our life mission, our purpose, our death, and so forth. And on the way that our central self, or I Ori, or I Ashe, travels here, it begins to forget what it picks when it was in the Oran. So now the diviner, he determines the infant mission, and they name the child after the mission or the purpose of the infant. That's why a lot of our brothers on the continent, their name means something. And and a lot of their name is tied to their purpose in life, their mission in life, what they come here to do. So every time that that infant hears his name, he knows exactly what he is supposed to do, what his purpose is, or what her purpose is. This can be accomplished through rituals, birth charts, etc. It is important to clearly determine the new community members' missions in order to successfully guide him or her along their path. Naming an infant is seen as an important part of birthing. Right. It is a belief that names have a spiritual vibration which affects a person as an infant into the adult life and beyond. In the Namba, the Himba people never leave the newborn child on his own or even put her down for fear that he may be stolen by some malicious spirit. So the birthright is connected to the marriage right. And I'm just giving you the birthright. I'm going to give you the adult right, which is connected to the marriage right. You have to go through these two rights before you get to the marriage rights, and these two rights are connected to the marriage right. Now, the Bajagon people celebrate birth of the female as an special monumentals. Every woman, for her ability to become a mother, is afforded the highest respect and prestige. So, in the Bajagon people, who is a matriarchic society, who is in Guyana Basson. And for those that want to know about the Bajagon people, you can go to Kofi Paisa TV. I talk about this whole matriarchic system that's in Guyana Basson on those archipelagos, or islands, those 88 islands that's on off the Guiana-Bissau. But they held their women in the highest esteem. Why do they held them women in the highest esteem and prestige? They are also they are the every woman for her ability to become a mother, and a mother is connected to the marriage right, which we're going to get into. So I have to connect these two so you can understand the marriage right. A woman for ability to become a mother is afforded by the highest respect and prestige. They are also the intermediary between the living and the spirits. In Africa, marriage is a procreation, are intertwined and inseparable. It is almost always presumed that readiness for marriage is ready for procreation. So procreation is attached to the marriage. So that's why I have to give you the birthright first before you even get to the marriage right. Because when you talk about marriage, you're talking about procreation. And we're going to get into why procreation is an important and it is tied to the marriage right. To get married is an opportunity to contribute freely through procreation to the survivals of the lineage and the society at large. During marriage, both traditions are Christian, both traditions and Christianity, because we know that Christianity is a part of our culture in Africa now due colonization, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on too. How the marriage, the indigenous marriage right, is starting to die off because of the colonizers, different religions and perspective that some of our brothers and sisters have over there. One of the most appreciated and common gestures of goodwill shown to the newly married couple is praying for them for the fruits of the womb. May God grant you many children. You shall give birth to male and female. In 9 months we shall gather to celebrate the birth of your baby. Do women propose marriage in African? Yes. Brother Garfield. Yes. I showed a slide here, and I'm on the Bajagon people. The Bajagon people is a matriarchic system. So, and even in other cultures, the woman, which I'm gonna show, the woman picks most of the time. The woman picks and chooses her husband. Some of the traditions, the woman asks the man in offering a marriage, and I got a slide on here dealing with the Bajagon people on how they offer a man's hands in marriage, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But yes, the woman can also propose. Woman can also can propose to a man. The rights of an adult is a second major initiation right, and it is nowadays the most popular among the set of rights. Most people today assume rites of passage only refers to initiation into the adulthood, and they are often now aware that the adult rights are only one set of rights within a larger system of rights. Adult rights are usually done at the onset puberty age around 12 and 13 years of age in many cultures, and they are ensured of shaping productive, community-oriented, responsible adults. There is nothing automatically about youth being productive members of society, nor there is anything particular difficulty about transitioning from a child to an adult. Children are taught the necessary skills for adults, including, among other things, problem solving, rules and taboos of the society, social responsibilities, what is considered appropriate behavior for women. Listen, what is considered appropriate behavior for women and men can receive further clarifications of his own purpose and life mission. Oftentimes, successful completion of the rites adults are publicly celebrated with the coming of the ceremony and the reintroduction to the society. So, doing these adult rites of passage, where you become from a child to an adult, you go through different ceremonies, you go through different initiation systems, and those has been following my presentations. You're probably following what I'm saying. Those are said, those females and those males are separated from society. And as they are separated from society, they go through certain initiatory systems, and they are educated in problem solving. They are educated in rules. They are educated in politics, social skills, different types of responsibilities. They are being, the women and the men are being taught how to be great men and how to be great women, and also they are being taught how to be great husbands as well as great wives. And they are being taught that a man is supposed to be with a man is supposed to be with a woman, and a woman is supposed to be with a man. Because again, the marriage rights includes procreation. It includes birth. So I'm trying to establish both of these rights before I get into the marriage ceremony, so you can kind of understand and walk with me. Marriage. The right of marriage presents not only a joining of two families and even communities, it is also represents the joining of the two missions of the new couples. This means that the additions of the performing marriage rights for the coming together of male and female to procreate. So there go the word procreate again. That's what marriage is all about. It is about procreating. It is about bringing forth life and joining families and communities together. Because when you marry someone, you also are marrying their family as well. Perpetuate life and joining families is also an institution to help husbands and wives to fulfill their missions. And also, the husband helps the wife fulfill her mission, and the wife helps the husband fulfill his mission. Because again, in all African cultures, we believe in reincarnation. We believe that if we don't get it right, we'll come back till we get it right. We believe that we are here from the spiritual world, the Egungun, to fulfill a mission. As I explained, for those that may practice Ifa, we understand that we select or we select our purpose, our life mission, our gifts, our talents, our major traumas, our soul wounds, our parents, the day we are born, the day that we will die, and so forth. To help husbands and wives fulfill their missions and the objective of life, ensuring that they are working together toward the same end. A very high value is placed on marriage in African society. It says a very high value is placed on marriage in African society. So I understand we have people that may not be particularly fond of marriage because the African way of the marriage right is different than the European or the Western standard of marriage, because we believe that you get married because you are in love. And in the African societies, it is not solely based off of love in order for you to get married, because people fall in love and then they fall out of love. So that is not the premise for the African marriage society. So this is why I wanted to do this, because a lot of people are not fond of marriage, and we have the high in America has one of the highest rates of divorce, divorce out there. Together toward the same end, a very high value placed on marriage in African society. And it is because the focus is on the collective. It is not uncommon that a full social standing of adults can only be achieved by marriage. And in some society, marriage is not recognized fully until a wife gives birth. So marriage is connected to the right, the birth, the rights, the birthright. And then marriage is also connected to the adult right, because in order for you to get married, you have to become an adult. You have to be skilled in what a woman is. You have to be skilled in what a man is. A man knows he's supposed to be the woman. A woman knows he's supposed to be with a man. And they are also being educated on what a man's supposed to do for a woman. The woman is educated on what she's supposed to do for a man. And they are actually educating them and getting them ready to be married. I'm gonna have to stay out this chat because I don't want to keep this thing too long. How does a tribe or elders or tribes know for sure the purpose or mission for the child so that they can name it? Divination. Every African system deals with divination. You have a Babaluau who does the divination. I don't have time to go through the divination of what the diviner is. He is the one that does the divination system that gives you your purpose, that's tied to your name, or give you your destiny. And for more information about that, because I don't want to keep the video too long, just go to Kofi TV and go to Europe, the introduction of Europe report. Just look it out on part 1, part 2, and part 3, or you can go to part 3 and I break down divination. I break down the divination trade. I break down the tapper and so forth. But I'm gonna keep it moving. But the answer your question, the diviner, the diviner. Many Zulu virgins converge on the Iyuku Zulu royal place in September on a yearly basis to celebrate the Ikusu Wuhala Reid Dance Festival. In Africa wedding, the Reid dance is definitely an activity that promotes chastity among virgin girls and respect for the woman. So these girls are being taught at an early age as they transition from puberty into adulthood, into the adult rite. They are being educated to continue to keep themselves a virgin, to save themselves for marriage. So you will see back in the day that there was no, which was frowned on, and it was shameful if a woman and a man had a child out of wedlock. So these rites of passages kept the societies in line. These were different demarcation stages of life. That's why I say it is important that we must bring these rites of passages back to our neighborhoods, to our communities, to our societies, so we won't have a lot of the confusion running around. Virgins respect women. The festival is perhaps annual festivals on the calendar of Zulu Nation. During the Reid show up, virgins fetch the reeds from the river and bring these to a place for your royal king, King Goodwill Zawetith, in the order to respect. During the Reid show up, the virgins fetch the reeds from the river and bring these palaces for your royal king. I already did that twice. The ceremony helped you to preserve the customs involving keeping girls as virgin rights up until they get married. And this is part of the adult right, or the initiatory system that some of the girls go through, particularly the Zulus. The Zulu girls, they go through where they go and fetch these reeds up, and they're taught to keep themselves a virgin until they are married. All right, girls will many times go to school where women teach them what is involved in marriage. So even after the adult rites of passages, they go through school. You can see here in South Africa, these women are in school and they are being taught about marriage. They are being taught how to be a wife, and the boys so forth. They go to school, so they are being educated on how marriage works. You know, how building a nation work, how building a community work, how two communities coming together, how procreation is how to procreate once you get married. You go through this holy union. And some ethnic groups even learn secret codes and languages so that they can communicate with other married women. In the Wolof people, there is even a time where an elder of the village gather the brides and give advice and gifts. Wedding can be very elaborate, involving feasting and dancing for days within the community. They can be very simple, or they can even be performed in huge marriage ceremonies involving many different couples. Marriage is almost serious. Is serious affair. Young men and women are thoroughly prepared for marriage life, as I've been stated. Young men and women are taught about responsibilities of married life and educated about sex and procreation. This is why I keep saying that we need to bring back these rites of passages. In all the community, the bride plays a very special role and is treated with respect because she is a link between the unborn and the ancestors. A bride might eventually bear a very powerful child. Women are mothers of civilization. Women are mothers of civilization. Women are mothers of civilization, which earns them a high status in society. Thus, protecting women and children is a biological human instinct. And now we have adopted the European philosophy where we began to treat our women like the European treat their woman. But we held our women at the highest esteem. We didn't believe in most of these biblical texts that God is above man and man is above woman. We don't, we didn't rock like that. Most of the African traditions of society that we are equal. One is no better than the other one. Unfortunately, a vast number of African marriages in Western culture fails due to short sightings and absence of mutual goals being based on falling in love. And again, as I said, African traditions doesn't really it's not founded on just falling in love, because people fall in love and then they fall out of love. Lack of focus on building a family or a end of results from the right. It's not built on, because once we get married, we're taught that it's all about us. When we go through those Christian ceremonies, or we go through those Islamic ceremonies, or we go through those Judaic ceremonies, wedding ceremonies, or wedding rituals, we're taught that no one intercedes between this holy union. So we can't assume our families into our affairs once we get married. It's about me and her. But in African culture, in societies and clans, it's about nation building. It's about family. It's about you not only marrying the person, but you are marrying into their family. So it's about building and establishing relationships, friendship, building a nation, procreation. Thereby entering relationships in an unbalanced state. When a marriage rite is performed in an African society, it does not emphasize looks or lust as a primary motivation for marriage, which is what we all do. Man, she a dime. I need me a dime. I'm gonna marry her because she look good. But a nation building and community. In traditional African society, marriage is a rite which is celebrated, respected, and held at the highest esteem. Marriage in African culture, from north to south, east to west, is hands down one of the most significant rites of passages. It is the most celebrated ceremony in all African cultures. African weddings are a spiritual and social family affair, and it involves the combining of two lives, two families, and even two communities. There is no great civilization. There is no great civilization that has ever existed that abstained from marriage as one of its core fundamentals of nation building. And I know today we have babies without wedlock. We're not purely educated on what sex is. We're not purely understanding that you have to save yourself to get married. We don't understand that we're marrying into a whole family, and you start to procreate once you have this holy union. Why African brides choose their husbands? I mean, ways African brides choose their husband. Sorry about that. And look at these pretty African women down here. I tried to select from different what's the name, but these some pretty women. Among the Wudabi people of Nigeria, Cameroon, Central Africa, Republic, and Chad, Nigeria, women select their preferring husband and lovers. They select their own husbands. The tribe is popular for the traditional 7-day festival known as Yeki, where men decorate themselves and dance in hoops and attract the attention of the potential mate. The Wudadibi, if I'm saying it right, women are allowed to marry more than one husband. So you can see here that they can marry. You don't see the man marrying a lot of women. I mean, we see a lot of the men marrying a lot of the women that practice polygamy, but here you see the women are allowed to marry more than one man. Among the Suruma, the Ethiopian marriage is usually arranged after a stick fight contest in which a young man trash each other merciless with sticks to prove their readiness to become a husband. The girl who is ready to get married sits around and watch the potential mate cane one another into submission. So this is how they pick their mate or pick their husband. Each girl select her favorite fighter in the contest and send him indirect messages through friends and relatives to express her interest. Women who are beautiful, hardworking, and cheerful are often first selected as wives, and we do that today. We do all types of stuff today. We do all types of stuff today to impress women. We go out and get the flyest gear. We go out and get the flyest cars. You know what I'm saying? We go and hang around certain group of people, maybe have certain types of status to, you know what I'm saying, to influence these women, to try to attract these women, you know, and it's no different, you know, what I showed or what they doing today. Now here I talked about the Bajagon women. I showed a picture of the Bajagon women, how they when a girl is birthed in their society, you know what I'm saying, that woman is held, or that young girl is held to the highest esteem because they know one day she's going to get married and have children and going to build a nation, and two communities are going to come together. So now with the Bajagon people, which is a matriarchic society, the women run that society, which is in not Guyana Basson, but Guyana Basson. The girls choose their husband by placing a large plate of food at the house of their choice. If the young man is willing to accept her proposal, he eats the food. After doing so, the future husband goes to live with the girl in the hut, which she will raise, and the couple then married until she drags her husband's belongings out the front door, thus indicating she does not wish to live with him any longer. So anything that he does that he ain't supposed to do, then she is required to drag his things out of the house, and she can divorce him. And he has to keep the children. The children goes with the man, and the man comes to live in the Bajagon society. The man comes to live with the woman. The woman has her own. The women never leave their society. They never leave their community. And the household can be between 10 to 100 people living in the house, from the grandmother, which the house consists in the Bajagon culture. You have the grandmother, the mother, and you have the daughter and the granddaughter. And the mother may have her children. I mean, the grandmother may have her daughter. Her daughter may have her daughter, her children. Her daughter may, her grandchildren, and so forth. That's why I say 10 to 100 people in a what's the name. And these women were master builders. They had a specific role. The men had a specific role as well. But these women was master builders, master farmers. They cultivated rice as well. So check out that presentation too I did. It's called the Bajagon people, something matriarchic system. I have long lanes with the presentation, but it's on Kofi Paisa TV if you want to check that out. Marriage is sacred in Africa and beyond because it solidifies relationships that enriches communities and nations by bringing forth new life and new hope. African cultures celebrate the coming of the rains, the first harvest, and the birth of a child. Marriage is the cultural process which ushers in new life. It is a cherished and most celebrated rite of passage since the dawn of African civilization. But marriage is not a human right. Human rights does not need license or certificates. Marriage is instead a privilege afforded by communities between man and woman, and for those who meet the criteria. Marriage is the only known incubator for the raising and balance social functional children. And I agree with that statement because now our communities are broken. You have single mothers raising kids, and a lot of the kids are dysfunctional because they don't have both of the parents in the house. And you have the woman that is against the man, and the man is against the woman. The man not taking care of his responsibility. He's not supporting. He's not even protecting his child's mother. It is a civilized union of man and woman. The ideal setup for a child to be raised into full functional in an African context as a contributor of civilization. It is an institutionalization and a complementary relationship between male and female energies, enshrining in the child's sentiments and values from both sexes. This is a formula which secures with marriage. If a woman is unable to contribute by having her own biological children, her role as a mother is expressed in the communal setup, and hence why the Pan-African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. Parenting is communal, that's right, and a harmony of males and female energies and critical and enshrining balanced humans. All across Africa, traditional culture weddings are dying out with the influx of normalization of so-called white Western weddings. This is why we don't like weddings anymore, because we have been so westernized and we don't understand uh, the rites of marriage, or what the marriage actually consists of in our own culture. The union of man and woman is celebrated of a natural continuance of life. Marriage is the only known incubator for the raising and balance of social function children. However, it is a community that the bride plays a very special role and is treated with respect, because she is the link, there it goes again, between the unborn and the ancestors. She is the only one to bring forth life. She is the only one to bring back the ancestors, because we are our ancestors. Igungun kiki igungun. Majube igungun majube ibai. A bride might eventually bear a very powerful child. In some areas of East Africa, the groom family would even move to the bride's village and set up a whole new house there. African weddings, traditions, and ceremonies. This jumping the broom. This tradition most likely originated. Listen, and I did this. My first marriage, I did this. I jumped the broom. Did something else with the broom later on. I ain't gonna say what I did with the broom before I left, but my first wife, we jumped the broom. Didn't know where this tradition comes from. I thought, and then up until me doing a little bit more research, I thought it was something dealing with the Christianity rituals. But we have to understand that once the colonizers came in and once the slave master came in and did certain things, they took a lot of different things from us and amalgamated into their systems, as well as we took what they had and amalgamated into some of our systems as well. This tradition most likely originated with an African ritual in which a broom is used to demonstrate that all past problems have been swept away. During slave days, African Americans were forbidden to marry and live together. So jumping over a broom was a formally and public declaration of the couple's commitment. Today, it has become very popular for African American couples to follow suit at the conclusion of their wedding ceremony. The broom, often handmade by a beautiful decorated, can be displaced in the couple's home after the wedding, and it was hung up in my house at one time. Wedding check with local cultural institution for broom makers and suppliers. So I have a picture here. Someone's getting married, and this beautiful African culture is jumping the broom. Then I have a picture here of brooms, and I may put in the chat in a minute those that may thinking about getting married soon or whatever the case may want to jump the broom, So I got a site that this company makes these African brooms. Cross sticks. In a lesser known tradition that also dates back to the slavery era, African American couples demonstrate their commitment by crossing tall wooden sticks. By crossing the sticks, which represents the power and the life force within the trees. The couple expresses a wish for a strong and grounded beginning. If you decide to incorporate this tradition, choose large branches from both of your family's homes or from the place meaning to use as a couple. Libation ceremony. So you can pour libations, and libations are also included in the marriage ceremony. And again, for those that may want more education or want to know more about the libations, you can go to Kofi Byside TV, and I have a libation presentation where I go into libation. We know that libations are not just for pouring to the dead. I know that's what most of us think, but you can pour libations to the living. So if you want to pour libations to your mother that may still be here living, or pour libations to someone that may have expired you, or someone in your family, or some friend, you can pour libations to honor that person. You can pour libations for the sun. I pour libations for the ground. I pour libations for the ground, because vegetation comes from that ground. I understand that if that ground wasn't there, that wasn't there for me to plant things in order for it to grow for me to eat, I'll be out of here. I pour libations for the sun, because if the sun just decide to not rise anymore, we out of here. So I pour libations. So you can pour libations for nature. You can pour libations for the lesser deities, the nature ooze, the orishas, the luau, the epsilon, and so forth. And you can use different liquids, wine, liquor, milk, water, and a few other things. But if you want more information on that, just go to my channel. It's the presentation on there. Many African American couples incorporated libation ceremonies into their weddings as well to honor their African ancestors. Holy waters or alcohol is poured onto the ground in each of the guardian direction as a prayer or recite to the ancestral spirit. And most of the ancestors, they want that wine. They want that wine. They want that palm oil. So in that aspect, if you want to honor your ancestors, don't pour water, pour wine. In the name of those that have recently passed or called out, the libation ceremony can also be used as an opportunity to honor the elders in a family, asking them to pass on their wisdom and guidance. Tying the knot. In some African tribes, a bride of a groom have their wrists tied together with cloths and braided grass and representing their marriage. I thought I put a picture in here of some couples actually had their wrists tied. To symbolize your own unity, have your officiated or a close friend tied your wrists together with a piece of kente cloth or a strand of cowrie shells. Symbolize, and it says kente cloth or cowrie shells. It didn't say crystals. It didn't say stones. It said cowrie shells. And again, it's no shot to someone else's culture, but again, we always intertwining other people's culture into our own cultures. Symbols and fertilities of prosperity while affirming young commitment. Tasting the four elements. In rituals adapting from a Yoruba tradition, the bride and groom taste four flavors that represents different emotions within the relationship. The four flavors typically used are sour, lemon, bitter, vinegar, hot, cognac, and sweet, honey. By tasting each of the flavors, the couple symbolically demonstrate that they will be able to get through the hard times in life and at the end enjoy the sweetness of marriage. Feeding the families. Marriage is also joining two families. It ain't you and that person joining. You are joining two families. You are marrying into two families. And you are marrying into a community, two communities. As much as it is about joining two people. I know the reverend, the preacher told you don't let your family interfere into your marriage. I know that. I know that's what they told me twice. That's what they told me twice. But you are marrying into Another family, two families are getting married, two communities are getting married. Joining two people, this tradition honors that union. After the couple tastes the four elements, they feed each other's family members from the basket of unleavened bread. Purple and gold. Purple and gold symbolize royalty in many African cultures, and there are popular wedding colors. We recommend going heavy on gold and saving the purple for an ancient color. It is the perfect way to feel like a queen or your wedding day while embracing your culture, which purple and gold are royal colors. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back. Dang it. Hold on, y'all. All right. Kente cloth. Many brides use kente cloth in their weddings. The good stuff is handmade in Ghana and contains red for the blood shed in capacity, gold for prosperity, green for land. Many brides incorporate the fabric into the bridesmaids' dresses, invitation decorations, or even the groomsman's vest. So kente cloth is very popular as well. If you want to know more about kente cloth, I'm not, go to my channel. I did a whole presentation on Ghana. I break down the kente cloth, uh, and even the African fabric or something. I don't know, just whatever the name was, dealing with the fabric. I did a part one, part two. I go a little bit more in depth in the kente cloth and the weavers who actually weave and make these things, and how they cut the palm trees down. Yes, we have palm trees in Africa. We have palm trees. They just ain't in Florida and LA. We have them in Africa. Uh, and they used, especially in Kemet, they use it to make silk out of the Raphael palm tree. The brides incorporate the fabric into the bridesmaid dress, invitation decorations, or even the groomsman's vest. The key incorporated the colors of minimalism, and is an accent or two can make a big statement without looking overwhelmed. Cola nuts. Cola nuts. Cola nuts play an important role in African, it didn't say stones, it didn't say crystals. Cola nuts play an important role in African weddings. The nuts, which is used for medicine purposes in Africa, representing a couple's and their families' willingness to always help heal each other. In Nigeria, ceremonies is not complete until a cola nut is short between the couples and their parents. Shared, I mean, I'm sorry. Among African Muslims, the nuts, and we have, and again, we have those uh, on the continent who are actually practicing. We know they practice some of the oppressors' religions, and some of them have amalgamated the oppressors' religion or way of life into the African way of life. So there are Muslims in Africa, in Nigeria. The nuts is also a symbolic fertility and an exchange with family members during the exchange celebration. Many African American couples incorporate the sharing of cola nuts into their ceremonies and then keep the nuts in their home afterwards as a reminder to always work at healing any problem that encounters. Since marriage in Africa culture is considered the official joining of two families, a large emphasis is placed on getting families' permission and blessings before the wedding. In Ghana, the groom requests permission through the custom of knocking on the door. Beware gifts. He visit, hold on. Bearing gifts. He visits his potential in-laws accompanied by his own families. His knock is accepted. The family celebrates and wedding plan begins, or simply plan outing like a brunch or dinner that to bring both families together before the wedding begins formally families bonds. So he's hoping as he's knocking on that door and he's bringing gifts, what they call dowries, where some couples before you get married you bring uh they bring they bring property or they bring money or they bring some type of gift. And as they knock on the door, specifically in Ghana, if the Pamela's don't answer the door, you know, they may not be rejecting you, but they may be investigating you to make sure that you meet the criteria before you marry their daughter. The gili is a traditional headpiece from a Yoruba tradition where many African American wedding tradition originated. And when done right, these headpieces are beautiful. They have more flares than the traditional veils and make their bride look positively regaled when she walks down the aisle. And I see this a lot over here, the gililis as well in the continent. And I'm gonna show you the gililis. We're gonna show this quick little video. It's an old one too.
It is known by many names: a head wrap, a head scarf, a head tie. Its actual name is a gele, and it's also a thing of stunning beauty. I am joined now by the owner of AfricanBeauty.ca, Miriam Ali. Miriam, thank you for coming on the show. You look great, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
A little underdressed right now, and but I want to get right to it because you have some beautiful examples of the gele, and you've brought some models to show them off.
Yes.
But first of all, tell me about its origin, and because it seems to be a mix of the traditional and the modern.
Correct. So gele is originally from the West African part of Africa.
Okay.
And I'm from Nigeria, and I learned about the origin in Nigeria. Basically, it's a fabric, and it's really starched down. And it comes just like this, just like a piece.
Right.
And we create it into a hat.
Right.
Basically.
And you say they're starched because they seem to be defying gravity. So you can manipulate them.
Right. They're very stiff.
Okay.
So the stiffer it is, the more it stands, and you have to be creative and artistic with them, basically. And that's what I do as a profession.
And that's what you've done. And we'll see some right now on the show. So who have you got with you? And tell me a bit about the design and the style that they're sporting.
Well, the design that they're sporting is basically it comes with different shapes. It depends on how. Well, right here we have the lovely Casey. This is a perfect bride. This is what they do when we're having our engagements and our weddings. This is a complete set, and the fabric is actually called ashoke. And the fabric itself is ashoke. What she's sporting on her head is the gele of the ashoke, and she looks very beautiful in it. This is what the bride looks like.
It's beautiful, and it of course matches what she's wearing. Now, do you design the colors and the fabrics yourself?
Yes, we do. We actually import it from Nigeria.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. You're pretty.
Yes,
that's my bride.
That's your bride. Okay.
We have a bridesmaid coming out.
This looks a little racier than a bride's. Just a hint,
I think it's the red color.
You think?
Yes. We have Nike here. She's sporting the red ashoke, which you can sport with any color. You can, as long as they go together. And basically, the ashoke fabric, that's the gele on her head.
Right.
And I basically designed that. I created that on her head. And she's sporting it very well.
And you've got some brocading. You've got some piping.
So you can add a little bit of spark to it, and that's what I did.
Okay. If we're not going to a wedding, where are we going?
We're going to a birthday party, or we're going to like any function, basically.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Very colorful.
Now I want to make sure that we have time at the end of the segment because you're going to do a demo. Is that right?
Yes.
So let's take a look at one more. Oh, this is great. Very colorful for spring.
Yeah. This is something like I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically just a wrap that it comes with like a set, basically. I think it fell on the side. But it's supposed to stand up.
Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't look like it's falling.
I know, but this is a basic wrap. You can do it with jeans, or you can do it with like a dress like she has, or a top, or you can do it anything. It's basically casual.
It's beautiful.
And we do this casually sometimes.
And you're also, I see, accessorizing some action.
Yes, and that's what brings it out. The accessories, the beads, the earrings, the makeup, basically brings what you have on your head out.
Great. Now, I want to mention, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I want to mention that Miriam also offers something called Miriam's Concept, which is the whole picture. Is that right? It's
the whole package.
Okay.
So basically, you're getting the gele, and you're getting the makeup, and you're getting, actually, I'm an image consultant. I consult with, beautiful African women, Black women, all kinds of women when it comes to getting the total package, the total look.
Well, speaking of total look, this looks like you've got a bit of a traditional look with a bit of that Burberry look. It's almost,
it's a rare kind of its own. It's a gele, it's an ashoke also, but it's a Burberry pattern. So we have different patterns.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
And we do seem to be defying a little bit of gravity up here.
Yes,
and that's because of the starch in the actual material.
Exactly. And this is Lola, and she's sporting it very well. This is going to a party, or she's probably the celebrant.
Okay.
Yes.
You're the celebrant, as in
the person having the event.
Okay.
Yes, maybe the wedding, or maybe the birthday party, or maybe you are the one doing the event. Then you have this total package.
Fantastic. I love the mix of the Burberry with and it's also a little bit shiny.
Yes.
Too. Yes. It really grabs your
attention. Like a lot of shine and spark.
She's accessorizing with some shines on her earrings.
Exactly.
And her necklace as well. Okay. Wow.
Oh, I love this. This is a damask. This is very traditional. It's as traditional as the ashoke. The ashoke is part of our tradition, the fabric.
I ain't gonna show the whole video, fam, but I just wanted y'all to see like some of the wedding headdress, the gili headdress. All right. Ghana marriage is a traditional ceremony where the groom, accompanied by his family, goes to the bride's house and formally asks for the bride's hand in marriage in the presence of her friends, family, and well-wishers. The traditional Ghanaian ceremony is necessary common right of all marriage for all Ghanaian couples. Today in Ghana, a lot of couples perform this along as a marriage Ghanaian ceremony. Excuse me. For all couples, this place tries to make their marriage ceremony as much traditional as they can because their rights is so important for their culture. Ghanaian wedding, it's supposed to be the Ghanaian wedding band starts with the knocking the kokiko around the house. In this knocking ceremony, the future husband, together with his daddy and some elder family member, visit the bride's house to announce their relationship intentions. Most of the time, his ceremony is carried out a week or two ahead of the actual marriage ceremony. As I talked about earlier, he had to go, they went and knocked on the door. Normally, the Masa girls of Kenya grow up with other children of their own age and normally form good relationships with them. But when it comes to marriage, women are given to a man they don't know, and is important for this person to be much older than the bride. At the ceremony, the father or brother of the bride spits on the bride's head as a blessing, and then she leaves the house with her new husband walking to her new home. This is just a picture here at the wedding ceremony held by the Masa, which I just stated on a nation of Kenya. The father of the bride blesses them by spitting on her head and her breast. This she leaves with her husband. So this is some type of blessing ceremony that the father does by spitting. And don't ask me why he's doing it or what's the significance behind spitting on her head and breast. I don't know. The Himba people of Nabia have a special and unique way to take a bride to their house. They first kidnap a bride before the ceremony, and then they dress her in a leather marriage headdress, which you can see here, this leather headdress that she's in, decorated with beautiful African jewelry. After the marriage ceremony, she is brought into her father's house, where the family tells her what are the responsibilities as a wife, and in the end, they anoint her with butterfat from cows. This process of wedding shows that she has been accepted into the family. In Nigeria, which located in West Africa, a husband never calls his new wife in her name. Only the women's own children and relatives are allowed to use her name, and this name is only for unmarried girls. If other people want to learn a married woman's name, they have to ask her husband to tell the name that her first family gave to her and use that. Dancing and singing are two of the most important fragments in the weddings in the country, and they are always combined with different big feasts. The new bride is kept in a special hut where have to wait till her new husband is left inside before the husband has to give tobacco and chicken to the guests. And when all have got those kind of products, he goes to the bride huts, and since then the moment the marriage is announced. In the first day of the marriage, they killed a goat for the bride. This is in Nigeria, a bride, and the blood of the goat is poured over the hut. So they do ebos, which is sacrifice. After this bride, women comes and asks her daughter if she pleased with her husband. Then the dance starts again, and the drums call make visitors come, and they give the bride anything at all to see her experience, and another penny attended for kawud and rub the woman's body. In Nigeria, marriages is seen as a bond between blood relations, and are also considered a very crucial. Today, traditional African American weddings are dying and are also becoming more like an actual Western style church wedding. This has essentially become the norm in Nigeria. Currently, even though the people are born and raised in Nigeria, they may be still likely to get Western style white wedding in an expensive or a correct African wedding. The reason behind this can be Eurocentric missionaries, and we know this. We know this if you've been following the Masa. We talk about this all the time. We talk about how these guys come in and they bring the missionaries in. They set up schools. You know what I'm saying? They educate those who they colonize in the schools. We know this. The missionaries in Nigeria churches who influence the Africans and the church groups. Some people in Nigeria still live with old traditions and are perform the traditional ceremonies for their weddings. The Zulu African wedding takes many forms and shapes. In those weddings, usually a bride changes her dress more than 3 times on her wedding day because she has to show off to her in-laws how beautiful she is, different in the different dresses and different colors. Although it is a Zulu custom for a bride to wear a white wedding dress, nowadays brides prefer to do this. The Zulu wedding takes place at a church, or during this time a bride is wearing white. After church, the wedding ceremonies occur at the bridegroom's property. The bride changes into a traditional outfit during the ceremony. The family of the groom slaughters a cow to demonstrate that they accept the bride inside the home. During the traditional wedding, the parties from your brides and grooms fasten complete through Zulu dances and songs. The bride puts money into the stomach of a cow. As you move, the crowd looks on. It is a sign that she is now section of the family. And in Zulu parties, the wedding ceremonies end with the bride giving in the forms of blankets and her brand new family, including an expanded family. This tradition terms uwaba or ukwaba. The traditional Wolof wedding ceremony in Senegal, the parents and husbands to the send elders to the bride parents with the parents of the husband to be send elders to the bride's parent with money and kola nuts to ask for her husband in marriage. The bride parents consult with the daughter, and together they consent to or reject the proposal. In this proposal, it is accepted that parents of the bride to be distributes the cola nuts representing among the neighbors and family. The part of the wedding is an informal and family. Corey shells and cola nuts is very important in our society. We did so much with the cola nuts and with the Corey shells. A way of announcing the impending of the new weddings. In more tradition practice, the groom is being to be family paid by the girl's bride price as money. This synagogue tradition may be modernized, and dowry is usually paid in money, cars, and perhaps houses. And they're saying that as either the woman in certain society or the man in certain societies, as they come to ask uh, the for the woman's hand in marriage, or the woman asks for the man hand in marriage, they come with gifts that what dowry is. They come with property, they come with money, they come with anything. You know what I'm saying? Offering to the family. You know what I'm saying? So they can't come empty-handed when they're asking permission to marry their child. After a completion of the new groom's obligation, the two families set bringing being married day. Before the big day, the groom family provides party to, party to welcome their daughter-in-laws in order to prepare her to be leaving to be living with her new family. All right. Again, family, marriage in African culture from north to south, east to west is hands down one of the most significant rites of passage. It is the most celebrated ceremony in all African culture. African weddings are a spiritual and social family affair. It involves a combining of two lives, two families, and even two communities. There is no great civilization. There is no great civilization. There is no great civilization that has ever existed that abstains from marriage as one of its core fundamentals of nation building. So, family, that concludes my presentation. And I hope y'all got a grasp and an understanding of what an African marriage is. I tried to point out in different African societies, different African clans, different African countries, what an African marriage is and how we look at a marriage. It is not in the same way, it is not in the same perspective as a westernized wedding. And if we follow the rites of passages, which you go through those rites of passages where you have the birthright, you have the adult right, the circumcision right, you have the marriage right, you have the elder right, you have the ancestor slash death right. So we need to bring those rites of passages back, those initiatory systems, those demarcation stages, because the birthright and the adult right is connected to the marriage right. As we understand, as a birth, we know that only life or building a nation or a civilization comes through the womb of a woman. So birth is very important. And when you talk about marriage, marriage equates procreation. It means birth. It is mean bringing the ancestors back. That's why it says that the woman is an intermediary between the living and the dead, or between the living and the ancestors of the adult right. The adult right, as they go through this demarcation stage where they become an adult and they become initiated and go through these different ceremonies, they are being exiled from the community, and they are being taught different things of good. They being taught how to be a good man, how to be a good woman. They are being taught social skills. They are being taught things in the community. They are being taught special tasks, special skills. They are being taught how to be husbands, how to be wives. They are being educated about sex. They are being educated about marriage. And then they go to schools to be further educated about how important it is to be a wife and a husband. And as they go through their adult rights, the women are being taught that they have to keep their virginity until they get married. You do not want to shame your community by having sex. That's why they're being educated at an early age on what a man and a woman supposed to do, and a man's supposed to be with a woman, and a woman is supposed to be with a man. What a man's supposed to do, what a woman is supposed to do. Marriage equates procreation. Procreation means building a nation, building a civilization, joining two great communities together, friendship, etc. Then you get into the marriage right. And again, the marriage right is about procreation. It is about building. It's not about falling in love. That's what we do. You fall in love and then you fall out of love. But that was not the main key for us getting married. It was nation building. It was families coming together, nations coming together, communities coming together. And then some of the things that we have already been doing for those that may have been married, those already come from the continent. And then they may have come that we may have equated into when we was on a plantation, jumping the broom, the two sticks, and so forth. So I hope y'all enjoyed the presentation. I really do. I hope y'all enjoyed the presentation. I hope I didn't let nobody down. I enjoy putting this presentation together because I'm gonna get married again one day, and it won't be a westernized wedding. It won't be a westernized wedding. It's gonna be an African wedding. I understand what an African wedding is about. What marriage means. Marriage is the most important ceremony because we understand that building a nation comes from being married because we teach our babies to keep their virginity until they get married, and once they get married then you bring forth life or you bring the ancestors back. So please go subscribe to these channels. Sesshuma Ani Meta Nature. I am a member of this group. We are like-minded individuals that study the language, which is the Rani Kemet, and the writing script, which is the Sesshuma Meta Nature. So please go subscribe to that channel. We have a lot of content on that video, on that channel, over 100 and some videos, but we transliterate and translate what y'all call the hieroglyphs or what we call the sesh. Please go subscribe to Kofi Paisai TV. I've been begging y'all, but it's all good, you know. But please go support my channel, Kofi Paisai TV. It's a young channel. It's only been up maybe 6 or going on 7 months. I appreciate y'all for those who support, who subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate y'all for supporting me. Kofi Paisai TV is the African Netflix. So if you want to get your lady and watch African Netflix and chill, that's the channel to look at. It is the channel that takes the European, that takes the black man, the black woman, and black child Eurocentric mind and Africanize it. Because on that channel, I have nothing but our culture and our traditions on that channel. Also, please go subscribe to the Master Warrior Clan channel. We're on the channel right now. Please go subscribe to that channel. I am also a member of that channel, and I'm trying to do my part with the group. I hope I'm not letting my group down in any way, in any shape, form, or fashion. So please continue to subscribe to our channel. We appreciate. We have a nice spike of subscribers subscribing. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on a lot of these good presentations that are coming your way. We're going to keep beating you in the head with these presentations. And man, that's all I got, man. Seeing Sean, you got anything to say? Hold on. Here's my references. I keep this pause here for a minute. And again, like I said, I don't mind you going through my references. Go through my references, scrutinize my references. I don't mind you critiquing my information. Again, I don't get in my feelings for that. I feel like that's the only way we'll be able to grow. Sometimes I know a lot of times people get in their feelings about people saying stuff about their information. I kind of do understand sometimes, because sometimes people take a lot of time out, but a lot of times we don't understand Tep Hesse. and that's the correct method. You know what I'm saying, or proper methodology. And we're trying to bring that proper methodology. You know what I'm saying, to the so-called conscious community. The Mossy Warrior Clan is doing a great job at that. Dagger Squad is doing a great job at that. MBK is doing a great job at that. Raw Squad is definitely doing a great job of that. The Seshu Ma'ani Metanetia is doing a great job of that. The Magi Archers is doing a great job uh, at that. So and all those groups I named, go and support those groups as well. Support, 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 support. It's about supporting. We got to start supporting, 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 supporting. So again, I want to say Moriri, which means appreciate or appreciation. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in. You could have been doing anything else, but you tune in to listen to this country boy speak. Um, Saying Sean, you got anything to say, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got something to say,
I
man.
got some things.
All right.
But you echoing.
Oh, hold on. I tell you what. For a second.
Nah, hold on. I got you. You ain't got to do it. I can do it. Hold on. You ain't got to do that.
All right.
Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in and showing love to the channel, and for everyone that actually support the work that we've been putting out continuously. We will continue to do the work um, for the people, but that's the reason why we do it. We invest a lot of time, energy, um, and money into trying to bring truth and culture and give back culture to our people. So um, these presentations and things of that nature you see, um, they consume a lot of our day, a lot of our time. Presently, I was working on a presentation that took 4 hours, and it's not complete by any stretch of the imagination. So it probably won't be until about another few days. So that's a few hours each day leading up to the time we're able to present these things to you guys. Because we want to make sure that we are not just Google scholaring you to death, or that we're not just putting out information out there because it feels good. We are actually trying to put forth information that you can share with your kids and your family and friends or students. Uh, um, as Sinette Cachet has with her students. She has been sharing a lot of the content that she agrees with, or she likes, or that she finds resourceful to help educate the youth. And we appreciate her for sharing that information with her classrooms. And and we're going to continue to help educate the babies because that's what we do it for. That is our why. And Kofi, I think you did an excellent job today. Sorry to speak so long, but I appreciate what you did, the time it took to put forth this together. You could have been doing anything. Like I said, I see Bryce uh, roaming around, so you could be doing something differently than what you're doing right now as well. So you kind of dedicated some time to make things possible for us and for you. That I appreciate the presentation. I look at marriage from a different perspective. There was some insightful information that we all can learn from, and um, you planted that seed, so now we just need to water it. And man, that's really all I got, man. Spills are flying, pseudos are crying.
Yeah, man. Yeah, again, I just appreciate everybody. My son, he been begging me, man, for him. He wanted to say something to everybody in the chat. Got your chance now. You got your five. Go on and say what you want. Peace and family. So he wanted to say peace to the family. He been begging me to say something for the last couple of presentations. I told him I was gonna let him say something this time. But again, I want to just say Marie, we appreciate everybody, man, and just stay tuned, man. We're gonna keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. Seeing Sean, he's up next with his presentation, and after him, I come. After him, I don't. I'm gonna be doing something on. It's called the Seminoles. This Black Seminoles Scout. So I'll be doing something which is gonna be like a part three to the who is the Gala and the Gola people and the Black Seminoles who escaped West Africa rice plantations. So now I'm going into the event that happened after these Black Seminoles went into Oklahoma, Texas, Mexico, and then went back into Texas to fight some of these other Indians with the U.S. Cavalry and so forth. So again, Modupe, and we out of here. Let me share my screen one more time. See y'all on the what they say the flip side. Hold on. Let me go back. I got so much.
He called for the unity and the redemption of the African world. Salute them honorable markers. We are not ready to listen then. They might not have been ready then. There's wonder whether we are ready. Ain't no doubt about it. To listen. You ready, baby? No. Let's go. Yeah. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. Black fist in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. Hold it high, let it fly. Rebel colors forever, Bobby would never die. On the 90, the throne ready, let's take a ride. Cash won't fix me and don't choose a side. This is the path for the warriors. Seldom travel yet still bad glorious. Yeah. Black power represents us. You either rolling with Africa or against us. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. Black fists in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. The red is for the blood. I got the best stock, the rest got blood. The black is for the gods, validated and elevated, holding the main charge. The green is for the cradle. Africa, everything first, the earth's navel. This excellency, put it together as a symbol of liberation. That's how we get the letters RBG. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. Black fists in the sky, waving side to side. It's the flag fly high. Come on. Flag fly high, flag fly high, flag fly high. All these G's on the rise, all eyes will recognize the flag fly high. This fly mine is 99. People army them no time. How to draft on my design, we both ready. Hard line, ain't no game for that red flame. Triple stage for that black bang. Revolution in my veins, and we free, I won't change. Then you can count on that like an advocate. Celebrate the victories and the challenges.